Ever had a conversation with your friends or a significant other talking about your favorites such as TV shows, fast foods, to even shopping, just to be browsing the internet finding exactly what you said in the form of an advertisement? Well, this has been a common occurrence for almost everybody and sometimes makes you question your privacy. So you just have to ask yourself, is my device listening to me? Before we look into it, there's a couple things we have to ask, such as how, where, and why does this happen? For starters, we'll begin with where. In this day and age, you most likely carry a smartphone such as an Apple, Samsung, or even some other brand of smart device. And these devices are loaded with a ton of useful features. However, there's one feature that stands out the most in the mix of them: an AI assistant. AI assistants have been a very common feature to come with your device. In fact, they are not just on smartphones. You can find them on TVs, personal computers, and even devices dedicated to them. And sometimes these assistants can be very helpful in a handful of situations, such as cooking, driving, and so much more. But this next part is sort of where it all comes together and tells us how this becomes a privacy risk. The catch with this feature is the device only wakes up with some sort of wake word. But in order for that wake word to work, your device has to constantly be eavesdropping in order to, well, pick up that wake word. This means as long as this voice service is active, everything being said and heard around the device is logged in some type of way, gathering data. And I mean every word 24/7. Now, this is some pretty invasive stuff, which brings us to the question of, is this legal? Well, believe it or not, this would be illegal if you didn't give them permission to do it. Lots of times you were giving them consent to do so and you don't even realize it. A perfect example of this is when you were personalizing settings on a new device. If you notice, sometimes you will receive a prompt to allow this new device to access your microphone, or some sort of microphone access within the terms of service. So you accepting these prompts is what allows your voice to be continuously recorded legally. Now, there are some obviously illegal ways of doing this, such as the use of malware or simply hijacking someone's personal device. But this isn't really as much as a common occurrence as you may think it is, and I can explain why in another video. Regardless, if you're not aware, your device isn't just ignoring everything else being said around it. In fact, this is where you may start to question what happens to everything else being said that isn't some sort of wake word. This is actually a pretty common question and comes with a pretty common answer. You see, it's no secret that personalized advertisements are being pushed more and more by big companies. However, in order for those advertisements to be well personalized, it needs some sort of data about you. And that's what your device is, an outlet providing data about you 24/7. The reason this data is massive is because it allows for a more personalized profile on what advertisements you are most likely to be interested in based on what is being recorded by your device. Over time, and as long as there's still some sort of access to what's being said around it, builds a more accurate profile on what advertisement to feed you. So what can you do in this day and age to preserve your privacy a little bit more? Let's start with some of the basics. For starters, any sort of AI voice assistant or voice activated service should be disabled. An example of those services are things like Siri, Google Assistant, or even Cortana if you're using a Windows-based device. Another thing you'll have to watch out for is any sort of prompts or agreements asking for permission to use your microphone in the background. An example of this is something like a terms of service. If you are unsure, you can always look into the app's permissions to verify that your microphone is not being used. Now, mobile devices have been pretty good at letting you know if your microphone is being used at any time. So this is really something you should watch out for on devices like a personal computer. Overall, the amount of privacy around your own device comes down to what you agree to, and giving permission for your voice to be recorded at all times is not the way to do it. That's it for this video. If you liked it, feel free to subscribe, and yeah, peace.